Guns. They're Hollywood's favorite weapons because they're America's sexiest prostitutes. Guns are often seen in action movies, used by both protagonists and antagonists to assert a dominance over each other or the nearest woman or child. Writers and directors have incorporated the use of guns in movies to elevate a film's dramatic stakes, knowing that the presence of a gun means a really big "oh no!" Every filmmaker who uses guns in their movies is aware of the psychological impact guns have on the human brain due to rigorously studying multiple scientific and scholastic studies and infusing their findings with the storytelling that best exemplifies dramatic stakes. Today, we'll take a look at one of those original studies and then a few examples of directors who very consciously valued the research done by the scientists people in order to make the best movie possible. In 1967, the seminal weapon study was scienced by two men named Leonard Berkowitz and Anthony LePage. They rounded up a group of 100 undergraduate men with the largest penises and began their experiment. They paired the two men up and placed them in separate rooms. The first man, called the Confederate, was allowed to shock the second man a specific number of times. Then the two switched places. When the second man entered the room, he discovered that Berkowitz and LePage had placed one of two items next to the shocking device. In half the cases of the study, they placed a shotgun and revolver near the shock button. In the other half of the cases, they placed a badminton racket. The scientists told the second man to ignore what was ever beside the shock buttons as they were left behind from the previous user. They then allowed the second man to shock the Confederate as much as they wanted. Their findings found that the men who saw the guns were more aggressively shocking their Confederates than the men who walked into a room with the rackets. Their research concluded that the visual stimuli of weapons can cause aggression and that badminton is very boring. Knowing that the sight of weapons elevates aggression allows filmmakers to responsibly manipulate their action sequences so an audience feels more engaged with the fighting. A study in 2013 by the American Academy of Pediatrics found that violence in films has more than doubled since 1950, and gun violence in PG-13 rated films has more than tripled since 1985. This is excellent news for lovers of high-stakes action, because, as we all know, the more guns means the more drama. Let's look at two sequences, one from Wes Anderson's Granddaddy Buddha's Hotel, and one from The Expensives. In Granddaddy Buddha's Hotel, Anderson fails to communicate the proper heightened sense of dread necessary for the sequence, as he too cautiously introduces the setting and players in the scene in specific roles with specific advantages and disadvantages. As Will Smith enters the donut shop, we see a clear layout of everyone in the location: the customer, the employee, and the true American seated in the back. As the scene progresses, a fourth antagonistic character enters, defined as the threat due to his weapon. As he entertains the two at the front of the store, Anderson cheats and reveals that the true American in the background also has a gun for some reason. As we wait for something to just happen already, we see Will Smith notice the true American and attempt to return the sequence back to a scene with just one gun when the true American finally fires and kills the robber, who kills the true American, who kills the employee, ending a boring scene with just two guns. Now, let's watch this clip from The Expenses to see the way real gun action plays out with high stakes and elevated dramatic tension. As we can clearly see, the filmmaker has obviously done his research, knowing that a shit ton of guns is more dramatic than one gun, or two guns, or no guns. And since filmmakers have a responsibility to be aware of what they're putting in their movies and the psychological effects, they have definitely done the proper studies and looked at the findings of the scientists in order to responsibly put what they have on the screen on the screen. Thank you for watching today. I hope that don't kill people. If you like the video, you can donate to my Patreon, which is where I get the money.